Hello everyone, it's me, the most underrated YouTuber ever. This video is a review of the Amazing Digital Circus finale. A video in which I will yap about which things I didn't like about the finale because the ending was pretty much unsatisfactory. It's my take, okay? And if anyone's gonna come and hate on me, skill issue honestly. One of the main issues I have with this show is the pacing. It was excusable when Murder Drone's finale was like super rushed. It would be better if the show had 15 episodes because then we would get to learn a lot more about the characters. We already know a lot about Jax, as you can see. In my opinion, we needed at least 2 parts of the finale, if not that. This whole episode was centered around Jax, and that resulted in us not getting to know much about the other characters other than Jax. Not much about Pomni's past, Zubul, Gangle, Ragatha, Kinger, and Scratch. Just a teeny bit of lore. All we really know is that Ragatha had a very terrible mom, Gangle was an artist, Zubul was a tattoo artist and another job, but I kind of forgot that. Pomni, not much is known about Pomni either, but I won't say it because I forgot. Because, let's be real, there are so many plot holes and so many questions left unanswered. So yeah, 9 episodes are not enough. Another thing is that the characters sometimes never really communicate properly when they need to. Ragatha was not Pomni's best friend. Jax was her first friend, Kinger was her second friend, treated the rest of the circus members as classmates she only kind of vibed with, but weren't necessarily friends with them. One thing is that she always comforts Jax, but she never comforts Ragatha as much as she comforts Jax. In episode 5, Ragatha revealed her past to all of the circus members, but nobody really said anything to comfort her. Why do I have an issue with this? Because it's clear that Ragatha is hurting. Another issue is that in episode 9, Jax was avoiding Ribbit, right? And it was clear that Ribbit was not taking it well. They kind of just didn't do anything while Jax single-handedly caused Ribbit more like pain. Don't hate me, but I kind of find it ironic how only when Pomni came and stayed in the circus for a few days, she found out that Kinger was comfortable with the darkness. Kinger and Ragatha didn't get much screen time. Forget them actually! Zubul and Gangle got the least screen time. Sort of just expected there to be enough to show that Jax and Pomni are the main characters, but also to show that the other characters are important. You guys might say that they revealed a lot about the characters in, near the ending of the finale, but they kind of just sprinkled that all in the end. What did they also add at the very end of the show? The flashbacks, Ribbit and Kaufmo. Then Kinger just sort of lore dumps in the 8th episode. 8th, 9th, then the show is finished. It sort of just looks like to me that halfway through the show they decided to add the Ribbit thing to the Jax's character arc, or whatever you call that. Now, time to talk about Jax, who plays a very major role in this whole movie. Remember when Goosewick said that the most unlikely character in the circus will abstract? Well, Jax had like 3 mental breakdowns in episode 6, episode 7, episode 8, and he abstracted, so that didn't really seem very subtle to me. Another thing is that Jax's story was sort of also unsatisfactory because it left a lot of plot holes. So everybody just said that he kind of became homeless and then ended up in the digital circus. That's what I know. But I really didn't like about Jax. There's multiple things that I don't like about Jax, and I will explain them right in this video. One thing is that when Jax talks to Ribbit and vents to her about his past life, Ribbit agrees when Jax says to her, "If you tell anyone about this, I won't talk to you again." So everybody thought that they're all good, and Ribbit obviously won't do that, but even after that, Jax himself chooses to ignore her. She didn't tell anyone, but he still chooses to ignore her. I'm like, wow, what did Ribbit even do? Pretty sure this is a warned take, that Jax is a clear representation of, because of my trauma, I get to do whatever I want. Sure, he had a rough life, sure he became homeless, and sure he was struggling to accept himself being forever there in the circus. And then after losing Ribbit, he's gonna become even more worse than before. But that still doesn't excuse his actions. The show clearly wants you to feel bad for him, whether his actions are valid or not. It's true that people react to trauma differently, but harassing others, bullying them, and even bringing them pain, like Zubul explained to him in episode 7, a list of so many terrible and physical things he did to the cast. And mind you, they all feel pain. Even after Ribbit kept her promise that she won't tell anybody about what he told her, he just acts like she never existed. Then when Ribbit decides to confront him, He actually says that she's manipulating him and prying into his personal life. Bro, what are you on about? And then because of him, just him, Ribbit and Kaufmo abstracted. They could have just talked to anybody else, but because of Jax, they abstracted just because of Jax. Yes, Jax, you did do this to yourself. If he wanted help so bad, he could have just at least told someone like Pomni did. He lost his friends and then still uses that same method to dig himself a deeper hole. Ribbit and Kaufmo did not deserve him. He's a victim and at the same time, he's an abuser. No boy, just because you've been through hell and back does not mean everybody has to suffer too. Gangle is called Gangle and everyone accepts that. He gave her that name because it sounded as pathetic as she looked, he said. Ragatha has also been through some pretty terrible stuff. Do you see her walking around and making everybody's life miserable? No! Oh, Jax, you basically fumbled so hard you caused it. 2 people, actually almost 3 people because Gangle is one of them, to abstract. Newswork said that he's irredeemable, and yeah, he's a bad person. But the show pretty much says otherwise. He's being babied by the show a lot because it basically just says, look at this character. He's been so traumatized. You should feel bad for him. No, that's not how it really works. Conclusion, Jax is a victim and an abuser who basically just injects his insecurities onto everyone else and acts extremely narcissistic. Pomni gave all her attention to a guy that basically did this to himself, but not a woman that's been through something as terrible and still chooses to be nice to everyone. I mean, Pomni, what are you even doing?